Ladies and gentlemen, The Weeknd.
We pushed you over the edge, Chris.
On the dark side.
It's hard to distinguish Luke Skywalker. I'm an asshole, just so everybody knows. Well, welcome to Force Connect, the only live Star Wars talk show. Happens every Friday night here on the streaming Star Wars, well, the SSW network. We don't call it streaming Star Wars because when we use the word Star Wars, Lucasfilm is usually not very happy about it. And sometimes we get copyright strikes, but that's okay. We are the SSW network, and you get streaming Star Wars content here with us on the SSW network. You get ATG Cast on Thursdays, the Around the Galaxy interview show. And then on Friday nights, you get Force Connect, where we hear from you, where you drive the content, where we get your comments and feedback on all the Star Wars happenings of the week. Hey, you know what looks different about this week's show? It's just me on here. Normally, I'm joined by my friends Chris and Nick, but they're both busy. And, you know, we were like this close to just saying, you know what, we're just not going to do a show this week. We're going to take the week off. And then a couple things happened this week. For example, we learned that there's a rumor that the name of Dave Filoni's new Star Wars movie will be Heir to the Empire. So I want to hear what you have to say on that. And of course, the big news over the last couple of days is that the unfortunate news that the Star Wars Galactic Cruiser down in Walt Disney World is going to be closing come the end of September. What does it mean? What does it mean to you? What does it mean to us? What does it mean to Disney World? What does it mean to the franchise? And so we definitely want to get your comments on that. And so I am about to put the link in the chat. We'd love to hear from you. Even though it's just me, just little old me tonight, we're still going to be taking all your calls and driving conversation. As we do every week, we do hit our little bit of housekeeping. We want you to join us on all the social media channels at the SSW Network. Head on over to our website at the sswnetwork.com. You can even become a patron of the SSW Network by going to patreon.com/the SSW Network. And what does that get you? Well, for as little as $3 a month, you're going to be able to join us when we do our live interview shows. And over the next week and a half, we are having Joe Barksdale, who is a comedian, a former NFL player, a musician, and a super Star Wars fan, and a funny freaking guy. He's coming back to the show. He was with us about a year and a half ago. And honestly, there's been only a handful of moments where I was having difficulty breathing because of laughing so much. And Joe on the show definitely was one of those guys. And in addition to that, if you're a patron, join us on May 28th, Sunday afternoon, late in the day, about 5:30 East Coast time. We are going to have Deborah Wilson, Seer Junda herself, will be joining us as part of the Around the Galaxy conversations. We can call her a friend of the show now. She was with us in February, and she's coming back. And if you haven't played the game yet, you're probably going to want to have done that by the time we talk to her, because I fully intend to go into spoilers. I won't go into it here, but there's definitely some Seer Junda spoilers that are worth having conversations about directly from the source. And she's just a great human being. We had so much fun with her last time. So please consider becoming a patron. Go to patreon.com/the SSW Network or go to the SSWnetwork.com and just click on join SSWN and you can become a patron. Again, just $3 a month. Plus you get stickers and some freebies and some things here and there along the way. And it helps us bring this show to you week after week after week. Well, normally Nick will raise a toast to something in particular at this point in the show, but Nick's not here. You've noticed that on the screen. Chris isn't here, so I'm going to have to take it on my own. But I think tonight there's a pretty easy toast to go to. It's pretty easy to find a toast. So to all of you who are hanging out with us, and again, I'm doing this on my own tonight, so it's going to be a little choppy here and there, but I want to say welcome to JD Sleesman, Dale Erdman, Eric Elliott, Darth Patty. Hello there from Quebec. Hey, Darth Patty. Benny Relp, TW McKay, and I'm sure I'm missing somebody or two in there, but thank you so much for hanging out with us. If you want to join us, you are going to drive the show tonight because it's just going to be me. But tonight's toast is actually, like I said, it's pretty easy. May 19th, 1999 and May 19th, 2005 were the release dates for The Phantom Menace and Revenge of the Sith, 2 of the 3 prequel movies. Star Wars came back to life in 1999 when Star Wars The Phantom Menace dropped. I have tons of stories from that time because that was also the time that I was doing some work for Star Wars Galaxy magazine. I had the opportunity to work with Steve Sansweet. I went to the New York City premieres of all 3 films. Happy to talk about those. But it was also an interesting time because what people forget is it was also the first time that people started to turn on Star Wars. And it is remarkable to me how many people who are actively negative against the Disney era of Star Wars have completely forgotten about what has happened in the Star Wars world since 1999. There was literally a film called The People versus George Lucas. The phrase George Lucas ruined my childhood was eminent. It was prominent. People said that all the time. And if I'm being honest, which I try to be all the time with you all, I did not love The Phantom Menace when I walked out of it. It's because I brought expectations. It's because I brought a point of view and what I thought the movie would be about. And honestly, when you try to recapture what 7-year-old you saw versus almost 30-year-old you, it's a very different world. And what's amazing is thanks to things like the Clone Wars and all the Star Wars content that we've gotten over the years, we are now in a spot where that content feels much, much better. I'm actually now a huge Phantom Menace fan. In fact, I mentioned it today on Twitter. I wrote a 123,000 word fan fiction novelization of the Phantom Menace, primarily because I always felt like Darth Maul was one of the most wasted villains in all of film history. So I wanted to do something about it. I didn't know what I was going to do. It was before I had a podcast. It was before I was reunited with the Star Wars community. So it's a lot of fun. If you want to check that out, it's on the website at the SSW Network. You can read that long version of Phantom Menace. But I want to raise a glass to all of you who are hanging out with us tonight. I want to raise a glass to all of you who follow us on Twitter or are listening to the podcast on the replay, and just say happy Star Wars, happy birthday to the Phantom Menace and Revenge of the Sith. Happy Star Wars, everybody. And by the way, thank you to my good friend Half Moth for sending me this glass. This is from his personal cantina, and one day we're going to have him on the show. And he's going to walk us through that cantina, and we're going to see it. But thank you very much for the glass. And again, thank you, all of you, for hanging out. We are going. Hey, Brian just showed up. Hey, Brian, what's up, dudes? I'm going to once again. I'm going to put the link in the chat, guys. Tonight, this is your show because I can't talk nonstop for an hour. Actually, not true. I can, but I'd rather not. I want to hear from you all. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take a real quick break, and when we come back from our first break, we're going to jump right into the calls. I want to talk about things like Star Cruiser, and I also want to talk about things like Heir to the Empire, but I also want to hear from you on whatever you want to talk about. So we will be back in just 1 minute with more Force Connect on the SSW Network. Well, welcome back to Force Connect, the only live Star Wars fan talk show that takes your calls live on Friday nights. Thanks for hanging out with us tonight. If you were reading the music or the screen that plays during our little breaks there, you saw that next week is our big Last Jedi show. It is a conversation that happens consistently and constantly ever since it was released, and we dare to bring it up. We want to have those conversations with you as well. We want to get your feedback, want to hear what you think of it. But speaking of wanting to hear from and wanting to get some feedback, why don't we go straight to the calls? Also, by the way, if you see me looking down, we have a monitor situation here in the studio that's not working out 100% well, but that's quite all right. Let's go to our very first call of the night. And so let's get to it.
Greetings, Exalted One.
Eric is joining us as he
Yeah,
has
definitely.
every week. How long has it been now, Eric? What's do we know where the record
It's been
stands?
months.
What's that?
It's been multiple months now.
Multiple months. It's been going on for a while. How are things going, my friend?
I'm doing all right. And I was just thinking to myself, I'm like, you're doing this episode solo, right?
Han Solo, yes.
Yes. I'm loving Cloud City. My head's up in the sky. I'm Solo. I'm Han Solo.
You know, not only do you do a fun podcast, but you also bring the entertainment of singing.
Yeah, you didn't think I was going to bring up the Connect crossover, did you?
No, I did not. But I did like the dance piece. That was unexpected. How was it going?
I'm not going to do the whole thing.
No, that's all right. I mean, we'll look for it on your podcast, Honest to Claude, which keeps going.
What I can say is that I'm happy about your Duel of the Fates book. I've listened to 4 chapters so far.
Oh, awesome.
I've been enjoying it. You know, there are some parts I'm like, I would have done that a little different, but ultimately, I really enjoyed it. And you know, what you do with that baby, like that's my headcanon for because I'm like, I see what you did there. I know exactly what character he's doing there.
You saw where I went with that.
You split.
I know it's probably doesn't fall into direct canon, but I definitely had some fun with that. So that
I mean, as fans, we're constantly shoving in theories or what we think happened if it's not explored explicitly.
Yep.
Like I do that a lot. Like, you know, I do fanfic writing too. Like I'm doing a episode 9 rewrite in my way, and I'm writing an entire Jar Jar novel.
Wow! All right, that's
about
awesome.
his entire life.
I definitely want to read that for sure.
Yeah. I'll let you know when those drop, and I'll figure out where people can look at it.
Yeah, and happy to help you with everything that just DM me. I'll tell you how I went through my process as well. But
I appreciate it.
So what's your thoughts after some of the stuff that happened this week? Do you have a specific topic you want to talk about, or did you?
Well, I can say 2 things that you want to bring up. I'm just like, I don't care that much. I'm like, I appreciate other people's like concern or obsession. Like Dave Filoni movie has a title. I'm like, okay, cool.
Mm-hmm.
I'm more interested in who's going to be in it, like what kind of writing is going to be done on it, a trailer, like titles. I'm like, I don't get hung up on titles.
Yeah, and you know what? I feel like it's a rumor that cannot end well, right? And so honestly, I'm surprised if it is called Heir to the Empire. It feels like it makes sense. Based on where it's taking place in the timeline and based on what we know about Thrawn coming back, etc. But man, that just feels like too easy. And it also feels like if they do that, it's not gonna
It's going to be unfair comparisons to Legends, work. I've never gone to any of the like special Star Wars like experiences in Florida. Like I never attended them. I heard them at first. I thought they're cool, but I was just like,
yeah.
You know, I never had that much of a pull. So to hear that it's going away, I'm just like, I was never jumping up and down to go there in the first place.
Yeah, and it's interesting because So I've been fortunate. I've been to Galaxy's Edge twice, but both times on the West Coast. And people that I have a great deal of respect for, people who know Star Wars, who, some of them have podcasts, some of them are listening and watching right now. Hi, Brian, have gone and have said that it's one of the most amazing Star Wars experiences you can have. But for me, $6,000 for 2 nights made it unreachable. But I was never angry at Disney for doing it.
I'm like, that's a college semester.
Well, absolutely right. And the pricing definitely feels a little bit tone deaf, right? But for the most part, it definitely feels like something that hey, it is what it is, and I'm not terribly disappointed. I'm disappointed that it's gone, but I'm also not surprised, to be honest with you. But
some that recently just popped up that I'm just like, okay, I'll be damned if anyone calls me a shill after this, because I'm like, Disney Plus, it's a Disney company cutting Willow and other original series off their streaming platform as a tax write-off because they're trying to merge the streaming service with Hulu.
Yep.
Is cowardly and greedy. Because like ultimately what that means, the same thing happened just less than a year ago with Warner Brothers mixing HBO Max with Discovery, where now when they cut things, they don't have to pay residual pay on any shows. Like it doesn't have to go back to anyone that was working on it. Like they don't have to pay them because it's not in any form of syndication. And I'm just like, they're doing this during the WGA strike. I'm like, they know what they're doing. Like it doesn't matter what they say unless they do a really big change, because ultimately they're showing their hand. Like they are not for the writers that are just trying to scrape by, just trying to live their life.
Between that and I don't know the details of what happened with Tony Gilroy and continuing to work on Andor and then making the decision to not, but that didn't really feel right either. So it definitely, look, there's no denying, and people call me a Disney shill all the time. As you know, I've started making shirts on it. If you want one, by the way, use use code shill20 for 20% off your order. But that's the way to do it if you're shilling. But the key there is, I can't get behind some of those business decisions. That said, when it comes to Star Wars, the Galactic Star Cruiser, rather, I don't really care. I mean, it's unfortunate. It's something I would have loved to have tried with my family and gone through, but it just wasn't in the cards. So is what it is. So
one is like more of like, oh, wish I could have gone there, and the other one's more like, wow, you're like really screwing people over. Like there's a big difference between those two. Like both of them are like executive decisions, but one is hurting the working class more.
Yep, for sure. And again, my basic feeling on it is it was not really, it didn't give enough thought to what the what they misread the audience, I think, is ultimately what it was. But all right, Eric, I'm going to give you one more comment before I'm going to move on to our next caller. We are starting to back up, which is awesome. Very happy to see so many people calling in. There is the link is in the chat, so feel free to join us. Eric, any last thoughts?
Like once again, like I'm going to keep listening to your book. I'm going to talk about it maybe next time if there's enough time. But
I'm sure.
Yeah, what I need to do is have it like a sit down interview. Yeah.
Let's do it, man. Let's do it. We'll set me up. We'll make it happen. I would love to be on Honest to Claude. Well, Eric, thank you for keeping the streak alive, and thanks again for joining us. And we will we'll talk to you again next week. See ya.
Ripken.
I'm just going to say it. I'm so used to having Nick work the things with me on this. So if there's going to be, I'm telling you right now, there's going to be an overlay that's not going to work out. It's going to look strange, but bear with us. I also wanted to, before I forget, because it's sitting here in front of me. As many of you know, I'm a big pop collector. I've quit many times and I've come back every time. They keep pulling me back in over and over. But I went to my local GameStop, saw my buddy Brian over there. And if you get a chance, go to GameStop, and their exclusive Return of the Jedi pop is this. It's an Ewok named Bretup, I guess is who it is. Bretup. But he's freaking playing drums on Stormtrooper helmets. It's the best. It's my new favorite pop. I go through like a new favorite pop every couple of weeks or so, but that's my new favorite. You got to check that one out, and it seems to be a GameStop exclusive. So go and check that out. All right, so I'm going to bring in our next caller. So let's see how this goes.
Oh, thank the force! Come here, you little womp rat!
Angry Tasty Cakes, how are you, my friend? I'm going to move you into the bigger screen because nobody wants to see my face. Everybody wants to see smiling. Now, recently minted Patreon member, Angry Tasty Cakes. How you doing, my friend? Happy
stressed. This week was nuts for Star Wars stuff.
It was.
It was.
What was the thing that? What were the things that stuck out to you?
Well, the ending to Survivor, number one.
Oh, you finished it. Okay.
That Friday after I had to duck out, I wound up staying home from work on Saturday, and I finished it. I played it for 17 hours straight to finish it. Yeah. So I gotta tell you, I went back through and I finished more achievements and now I'm just like, well, now what do I do? And that's when I tweeted that. I was like, now that I'm done, what do I do?
Yeah.
But yeah, no, just it was a lot this week. It was a lot.
It did feel like the discourse took off, and I don't know if it's look, as you all know, I tend to get involved in the discourse, and I truly believe that what I'm doing is I'm calling out bad takes, and I always will. It does drag me into things, and sometimes my opinions aren't super popular as a result. But the fandom is full of so much garbage. Sometimes you gotta take the trash out, and it's not always a ton of fun. But hopefully I'm not pissing people off. But which things struck you this way? I mean, look, and it's not even just the bad takes. It's the fact that the Star Cruiser closed, and I think that became fodder for people who like to say that Disney is failing.
Yeah. The moment I saw that headline, I was like, I know exactly who's salivating right now for those hate clicks.
Yep.
I was like, I knew exactly what channels were going to jump on that, and I was right on every single one of them.
Yeah, it's unfortunate and it's predictable, but it is what it is. Yeah. What was your reaction to seeing that?
Dismissive.
Yeah.
I mean, would I have liked to have gone? Sure. I mean, as a Star Wars fan, yes, I would have liked to have gone. But like I tweeted, like I answered on your tweet there, it was the cost. Like I couldn't justify spending $6,000 for a 2-day stay when there are so many other things I could do with that money. Right now, to kind of like, because I did want to actually reach out to you and have like a one-on-one kind of discussion about it, because I was legitimately curious as to like where, like I see where you're coming from, but I also don't. And hear me out when I say that, because like when you think of Disney, right, you brought up the idea of going to like 4 seasons. Yeah, you can do 4 seasons, sure, but you can also go to Polynesian, you can go to Pop Century, you can go to all the different resorts and everything that are around there, sure.
Yep.
But there aren't any other Star Wars hotels. There aren't any other like Star Wars experiences like that, right? So they knew that, and they were going to upcharge the hell out of that.
Sure.
And I think that's where the problem is, and I think that's where the tweet got kind of like misconstrued. And like for me, I just, as much as I love it, I can't do it. But far be it from me to tell them how to run their business. But what I would have done is this. I would have done the hotel and the experience separately. Charge $1,500. Okay, because that's about as much as like Polynesian is anyway. If you get one of those deluxe rooms, charge $1,500. You get your 2-night stay in the hotel. You get your meals included, or however that works, right? And then you can tack on an extra $1,000 or something to do the experience. Because like when I looked at the itinerary for it, and from everything that I was seeing, people felt rushed, and I don't think that was.
I do think that one of the things that I've heard is that for the price, you feel like the other thing is like I had some friends on another podcast, and they said we didn't want to go to sleep because we didn't want to miss anything.
Right.
And that's not a comfortable way to go. But let me just go back to your point about no other Star Wars experiences. I agree. There is no Star Wars hotel there.
Yeah.
And I think this is where the biggest problem was. And in fact, I think when we had the reporter from Yahoo Life, who was one of the reporters that was part of the the excursion, the first excursion, and the the influencer trip, which people love to complain about, but that's still as valid as any others. The reality is they shouldn't have led with the hotel part of it,
Right.
because yes, $6,000 for a hotel, forget it. I don't care if Darth Vader tucks me in every night. I'm not spending $6,000 for a hotel. It's an experience, and there are other experiences. There's Galaxy's Edge, which have you been to Galaxy's Edge?
Once.
Yep.
Hence.
Oh, right. Yeah. So that's an experience as well. So it's just a different kind of experience. And I also feel like where their biggest miss was really gauging the audience. I tweeted about it today, and I think I said a little bit to Eric a couple minutes ago, is, you have to be, it's a certain type of person that wants to go into that role-playing sort of thing. That LARPing is essentially what it is. And that's there was a really funny Venn diagram. I posted it earlier. You can find it on my tweets, where it's got like wealthy people, Star Wars fans, and people who are into cosplay, and in the middle is of course the Galactic Cruiser. But you got like wealthy people in cosplay, and it's Eyes Wide Shut, and then you got Star Wars fans in cosplay, and it's got conventions and whatnot. So yeah, I mean it was a weird audience to go for, but I think that's the missed point, and I'm glad you brought it up, because I think it's a premium Star Wars experience. Yeah. And there are other Star Wars experiences there.
Yeah, and that's my other point too. Like there is another Star Wars experience, but there's not another Star Wars hotel.
Right. Yep.
Like, and that's where Batuu comes in. That's where Galaxy's Edge is there, right?
Yep.
You can build your lightsaber, build your droid, go to Dok-Ondar. It doesn't matter. Like there is a Star Wars experience. I think the problem is that again, it was that price point, and people just thought it was just the hotel.
Correct. Yep.
And that's kind of what I'm saying. And the market was too niche. It was too narrow.
Mm-hmm.
For me, when I saw that price point, I went, because like Star Wars to me has always been about everybody. Everybody should be included in Star Wars. Okay. It shouldn't be for the ultra rich. I don't want to say ultra rich, but
I hear what you're saying.
It shouldn't be gate kept to such an extreme. And that's why I think if they had separated the two, it would have done much better. Again, hotel on one side, experience on the other. Part of the reason why I actually had a reservation for it, I was going to go, and then I was just like, okay, I'm gonna look at the reviews for it. I'm gonna see what's going on. I'd rather get my place now because I can always cancel it later.
Yep.
And I'm kind of happy I did cancel it. I'm not gonna lie. And it was because when I was reading the itinerary again, it was rushed. Like, if you go to this part here, you're going to miss this part. If you go to that part, you're going to miss this part. If you get on the second dinner service, you're going to miss that story beat. If you go to Galaxy's Edge, you're going to miss out on this story beat happening at the hotel. But if you stay at the hotel, you're going to miss out on Galaxy's Edge.
Yep.
It was too much of a catch-22, and I was like, I'm not spending that much money to not do it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So it was just sad it's going away, but I'm also not shocked.
Yeah, no, I'm not surprised at all. I mean, I was surprised the way it happened, the way it was announced, and it just like dropped in the middle of a Thursday afternoon or whatever it was. But I'm not surprised that it's going.
Yeah, but, Spirit Halloween's going to take up shop there, guaranteed.
I love those memes. Well, I'm up against a break, my friend. So, any last comments before we head on out to our next break?
I agree with you that this rumor about Filoni's movie title is going to end poorly. The moment I saw that, I was like, there is no way he's going to be that ballsy.
Right. You're right. I mean, that's it. But again, to the other tweet that I made, it's like people are like, well, Disney Star Wars sucks because they didn't use any of the any of the extended universe, and then the rumors come up that they're going to use the extended universe, and it's like now they can't do anything original. So it is truly a damned if you do, damned if you don't, for sure.
Lose-lose situation no matter what we do.
Absolutely. Well, my friend, thank you so much for joining us. Thanks for keeping that streak alive, and thank you for being a patron. It really means a lot. I really do appreciate it. And we'll be back in just a minute with more Star Wars Force Connect here on the SSW Network.
Pete Fletcher of ATG Cast is a Disney shill. Oh yeah, big time Disney shill.
I believe that you are a certified daddy. Like Pedro Pascal's a daddy. Like,
All right.
you know, yeah, certified daddy.
He interviewed this guy. Like, how does this guy, who's not even monetized on YouTube, get this interview?
So how did you know? Because I'm a nerd.
The only live Star Wars fan talk show that takes your calls. Friday night at 9 p.m. Eastern Time.
You will not meet nicer people. Oh, I'm at point. Oh, there and there.
All right, where's something that he was shilling? Let's see. I know I saw some, like, bad stuff from him this week. He got another interview. What a shill.
Yeah.
And now, I get to cap it off with the best of all and be coming back to a show that I dearly love and admire. So thanks for having me.
We keep it honest and real, make room for constructive disagreement, and have a zero tolerance for jerks.
I'm an asshole, just so everybody knows.
We are OG OT fans.
Wedge was obviously a character that you had to use if you were going to do Rogue Squadrons.
And we recognize the gift of Star Wars living on for another generation and beyond.
The galaxy isn't growing to push people out. It's growing to let more people come in.
I'm not seeing anything like too chilly, even though it's like, it's bad. See, he knows he's a shill. He like embraces that he's a shill.
No.
No one watches his channel. He's getting all these interviews on his channel. Like, how does he pull that off? He's definitely connected, and he's a shill.
I have had the best time ever on Around the Galaxy. Thank you so much.
Well, thanks for coming back. Thanks for hanging out with us on a Friday night. We are talking about all things Star Wars, all the things that happened this week. You know what? Anything you want to talk about as it relates to Star Wars. And yes, we do have some great interviews coming up. We have Joe Barksdale, former LSU football player, former San Diego Charger guitar player, comedian, Star Wars fan, one of the funniest interviews I ever did a year and a half ago. And he's coming back to hang out with Nick and I. And mark your calendars. Seer Junda herself from Jedi Survivor is going to be part of the program in just a couple weeks, May 28th. That'll be the 1 month anniversary of the release of Survivor. I think we can go into spoilers at that point. So if you're a Survivor fan, you're going to want to join us live in the chat for that. You can do that by becoming a Patreon member. Go to patreon.com/the SSW Network. And of course, it'll be back in our feed shortly after we do the interview anyway. But we'd love to have you there because we look at the chat, we look at the conversation, and we try to make you a part of it as much as we possibly can. Well, speaking of making you a part of it, tonight's show, as you can see, it's just me. I don't have Chris. I don't have Nick. I'm kind of lonely here. I got my glass of booze, though, so I'm good. I feel I'm comforted by that. And I'm comforted by all of you hanging out with us tonight on a Friday night. And we have some callers ready to join us. So why don't we jump back to our callers and let's see what we have next.
Go for Papa Palpatine.
You have a collect call from
Darth Vader. I gotta take this. Hold on.
We are joined by Brandon and Reagan. Brandon, I think they're a first-time caller. How are you?
Yeah. How's it going, Pete? This is my first time calling in, man. I love this show, but I never get a chance to really call in.
Mm-hmm. How's it going?
It's awesome. I will say this. You don't have to do this show alone.
Hey, oh my goodness. Thank you. Good to see you, Brandon, a.k.a. Chris. So good. I'm so glad you're here. See, there we go. I'm screwing up the overlays. I'm just happy to have Chris back. Chris, how you doing, buddy?
Good, man. good to see you.
Look, I'm not gonna lie. I saw a name I didn't recognize, and I thought, we got.
I was like, he's gonna either, if I do a goofy voice, like he's either gonna cut me off real quick, and I have to just redo this all over again or something. But
I was ready.
I'll make it quick. I was gonna go off. I was gonna like, Last Jedi sucks. I was gonna do all that stuff, and then
You didn't want me to hang up on you. So are you staying? Or?
Yeah. I'm here, man.
Oh, okay, good.
I'm here. I got you covered.
Good. Well, then, how is? Let me take a step back. We talked a little bit about Heir to the Empire as a potential. Hey, look, we're wearing matching shirts. Look at that.
Hey,
look at that. Which you can get, by the way, if you go to the SSWNetworkShop.com. Use code SHIELD20 for 20% off your order. Heir to the Empire is a title for Filoni's movie and the closure of. Well, it's a rumor, right? And as we were just saying with Angry Tasty Cakes,
don't pay it no mind.
I'm with you. I don't think it can end well.
Word. Yeah, it's that R word I don't like. One of the R words I don't like.
Rumor. What's the other one?
Well, there's rumor. Reportedly, get that out of here.
Right.
And then there's another one that is just completely not cool. But I pay no mind to that stuff, and no one else should. But websites will, and that's how to get them clickety clicks, and it's ridiculous. I don't care what he could call it, Toe Jam, woo hoo hoo in space. I'd be like, I'm in. Let's go. What are we doing? Where can I buy a ticket right now? Where the tickets
are? Are tickets on sale? Because I'm there.
Yeah, I'm there for Toe Jam, woo hoo hoo in space. Let's go.
I hope that's what it's called. I really do now at this point.
That'd be great. I'll take
it. The second big topic this week was the closure of Galaxy's Edge's hotel, the Galactic Star Cruiser. Galaxy's Edge is still around, but the Star Cruiser will not be after September. And honestly, the first person I thought of was Half Moth and Holly. But
that's home away from home for
for
Brian and Holly for sure.
Yeah. But what did you respond to? Were you surprised?
I was disappointed.
Yeah.
My initial thought outside of the disappointment, which goes right into the disappointment, is, they're going to talk so much trash.
Yeah.
They're going to make their stupid ass memes. They're going to make 30,000 videos today on this one thing and how Disney failed and blah, blah, blah. And you know what I say? Please cue up the video, Pete. You know what I say to all that stuff.
Yeah, let me.
Please.
Here it is. I got it right here.
Shut up. Things happen. I forgot who I said it to earlier in the week, but it's unfortunate that it happened. But when you make things for Star Wars fans that only a privileged, and I do mean privileged, few can go to, with whatever their income is. When Star Wars stuff is first announced, no matter how expensive it is, I'm like, okay, what am I going to have to do without?
Right.
So
can I give up a second kidney and still?
Yeah. What do I need? Do I need all this? I'm like, Electra's going to have to go for a bit. Pico's not getting paid for a minute. Let's see. Can I forego rent for a month or two? It was like that. That's right. What I was thinking. So, it's unfortunate because fans, like I was saying this to Roker earlier, fans of our age, this is stuff that we've been wanting for forever. Right. And it's unfortunate that a lot of us, because of financial standings and things like that, aren't going to be able to go to. But there's some people who they have the money that are true fans. I shouldn't be saying true fans, but you know what I'm saying. Who are big fans, like Brian and Holly, and they get to go, and that's fantastic. And I will live vicariously through them as far as that goes.
Right.
And then there's some who are almost looking at it as sometimes when celebrities bring male celebrities who bring their wives to basketball games, and then the wives maybe not into the basketball game, and they're just on their phone the entire time. And there are people like that who've gone, who they don't care. They're there for their kid or whatever, and they're just like, whatever. I just foot the bill. Give me that spot, money guy, and let me go.
I'll go.
But yeah. So it's unfortunate, and I'm still hoping to. I'm hoping against. It's a fool's hope that I'm hoping to go at some point. Beforehand. It's not going to happen. You know what I got going on, and where my time's about to be. About to be sewn up in. So yeah.
But
so hopefully they do bring it back in some way, and maybe a Star Wars motel. I'll stay in some dingy like Tatooine, like a little hotel thing, like next door to the cantina. I'd love that. I would love that.
That actually would be kind of cool. Dirt on the floor,
Yes, give me.
Well, it's interesting too, because here's what I believe, and I said this in one of the videos I released or whatever, that I think it'll come back and it'll be better and more accessible. I think what they'll do is, I think their biggest thing, their biggest challenge.
Motel Order 66.
Motel. All right, that'll be next week's shirt. We got new shirts every week. We just, by the way, if you're interested, we just released a Force Connect and Shill shirt, which is on the shop. But I think what'll happen is they'll make a Star Wars themed hotel. I don't think it's going to be an immersive role-playing experience, and I think they're going to have more of a generic bar sort of situation and restaurant, and I think they'll pull it in that way, because right now, as great as Batuu is, you were there in Anaheim, it's cool, but it's there's limited space. Like you can't just walk through the bar, and the restaurant's difficult to get in and out of. It's not even a restaurant, it's sort of a like a McDonald's and Batuu. So I think they'll make a more affordable Star Wars themed hotel, and that's fine, and it's still going to be a premium price, but I think it's going to be a different experience. So
I would have loved to have gone and been able to do the immersive part of it,
sure,
and like play a character. Like I would have dimed on the Resistance, like that. I'm a terrible person, but that's something I would have loved to have gone. But if they're not going to do that, and it was just like a regular hotel and a semi Star Warsy bar or something like that, cool. Because listen, I'm the kind of guy who walks around in the Battlefront 2 game in stages and just looks at stuff. Like I'm just like, oh God, it's Star Wars. I'm walking in Star Wars. I love it. So yeah, give me something. I'll take it.
Give me that for sure. Let's bring in a Patreon member who is hanging out with us, and let's get his take on everything that's going on.
What do you want?
What's up, boy?
Yo.
There he is.
How
Hey,
are
Brian.
you?
What's going on?
dude?
Nothing much. It's good to see you. It's been a while.
It feels like it's been a while. It does. It does.
Yeah, a lot of controversy going on the last day or two. I don't get it.
Well, you don't get it. It's Star Wars. It's Twitter.
It's Star Wars Twitter. Why would there be controversy?
Why not? Right. What's your take on? Let's start with the Galactic Star Cruiser. How did that strike you? What's your thoughts on?
I really think it's Bob Iger fixing Bob Chapek's anything that Chapek touched. I think that it's too expensive.
Yep.
And I really think, and I was going back and forth with our friend Scott Rifen earlier. He mentioned that
Who turned on me, by the way, on Data Racer's post. Turned on me like bad cheese. Scott, if you're watching, call in. I have some things to talk to you about, my friend.
But I guess he had mentioned, like, my thought was they're going to close it down, declare a business loss for the tax revenue for this year, and then reopen it in a year or two as a Disney Vacation Club villa place.
Not Star Wars related or Star Wars
related? No, but leave it exactly as get rid of the immersive stuff. Yep. And it'll be a DVC property, which the DVC properties, I'm not a Vacation Club member, but I know they are a lot higher end. They're not your typical resorts that everyone else goes and stays at. So that kind of makes sense that it could be like one of the top tier DVC things, but without all of the immersive stuff. So if that's what it is what it is. And if that's what it is, I will happily go and, rent the points to go there.
Yep.
If I need to at that point.
Well, and I think the other thing that people are not paying enough attention to, I did see a handful of people mention it, but I think it's worth referencing. Disney just decided not to spend $1 billion in Florida because of their Ron DeSantis feud, and rightfully so, by the way. I would not spend any more money in Florida than I need to as an organization.
So,
yeah.
Them closing this down, if they leave it fallow for a year, they can declare all that loss of revenue on there, and they're cutting that off the top of all the income taxes that they'd be paying to Florida.
Yep. Yeah, it's definitely a punch to DeSantis, right?
So,
for sure.
I mean, there's rumors that it wasn't filling because of the price. So Disney can afford to take the business loss, take the tax breaks, and reopen it in 2 years as another property when either DeSantis this term is up, or if he tries to go on to something else, whatever. But if he's not there anymore, or there's a new administration, it kind of makes sense with the way that, that 3D chess that Bob Iger's always been known for playing.
Right.
So we'll see.
Yeah.
I don't think they're not just going to abandon it. It's not going to be like, not Typhoon Lagoon, the other water park that's just been River Country.
Yeah,
that's just been sitting there, and you see the YouTube videos of that, and the Discovery. It literally backs up to Galaxy's Edge.
Yep.
They're going to reuse that property in some way.
Yep.
It just makes no sense for them not to.
The other thing that I've been thinking about, I'd love the thoughts from you guys on this, is there has been a common complaint, and there's this one guy who DMs me all the time, and he made a point, and I tend to disagree with him just because he annoys me, but he's not wrong in saying that the average fan is an OT or PT fan more so than a sequel trilogy fan. So, and I think that we're starting to see much more of the Star Wars that we know and love is Mandoverse right now. So my prediction, I'd love your thoughts on this, is I think they're going to start to back that timeline up. I think it's going to be much more Mandoverse focused. That way you can get Stormtroopers, you can get old school original trilogy Stormtroopers, you can get the things that people are seeing currently. Because look, I think most of us here are sequel trilogy fans. We have our own individual issues with pieces of it. But I think if you want to sell more tickets to Batuu, I'm going to say it needs to step back. So I predict we're going to see Batuu in one of the upcoming series, whether it's Skeleton Crew or Mando or Ahsoka. I think they're going to pass through there and they're going to make that connection. But that's just my thoughts. What do you guys think?
It's not a bad prediction.
Yeah. I think that'll definitely work out well. Maybe not even Mandoverse, like maybe make it during the Galactic Civil War.
Yeah.
Who wouldn't love to, live, in those? Oh no, it sucks to live there as an actual citizen of the galaxy. But I mean, like, for something like that for Batuu, oh my god, yeah, that'd be awesome.
Yeah,
that'd be awesome. Yeah, that'd be fantastic. Do it.
Yeah,
do it, or do the prequel era. I don't care. Just do it. Just do something.
Yeah, I mean,
as
long as it's still there.
Yeah.
As long as we get to go and visit, and whenever we're able to.
Yep.
And I know I right now I couldn't afford to go to to the Star Cruiser. I was maybe sometime in the future, but I'm not happy that it closed.
Right.
I would have loved to have gone there. I mean, I'm happy for the people that I know that did get to go there. Your Brian and Holly, and Tori and Savannah and all those other people that we were friends with on Twitter that did get to go. I'm just happy that they were able to go and experience that.
Sure.
Because, I mean, Brian came on how many different shows, times that he was there, just to walk around and show it to everyone.
Right.
And everyone's sitting there just like with their jaws dropped.
Right.
Like how awesome it was.
Yep.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm so jealous. I mean, when I met up with them in New York a couple months ago, literally it was just me like wanting, part of it was me just asking them questions about it.
What did it smell like?
Was the food good?
What was the air like?
Do you remember when you went on the Star Cruiser? That was awesome.
That's fantastic.
Yeah. But hey, you know what? It is what it is. It's not they're going to do something with that property.
Yeah.
They spent way too much money on for them to just completely abandon it.
I agree.
And that's my 2 cents on it. Where that's going to be, who knows?
Yep. Yeah, something will happen, and it's just a matter of when. And like, I actually think you're really onto something with finding a way to augment the $1 billion canceled program that they were planning to do, and just think of the tourist dollars that pour in there. I mean, look, this isn't a politics show, so I'm not going to go into it, but I just don't understand fighting the number one tourist attraction in your state. I don't get that, but
yeah,
I mean, I do get it. I get
he really put a burden on the counties down there.
Yeah,
when they are abolishing Reedy Creek, which Disney always paid property taxes to Reedy Creek, who paved the roads and fixed the potholes and did the electricity and did everything there. Now that's on Orange and Osceola County to do.
Yep.
And from what I was reading, like, people that live in those counties, their taxes are going to are skyrocketing because of this.
Yeah, for sure.
Because all of the upkeep of all those roads and stuff is now on the county to take care of, not on Disney to take care of anymore.
Yep.
Because they now all just became public roads.
Yep. Yeah, they did. Oh, we have a little something I want to bring in here. Hold on 1 second. We're gonna take a little break in this and get. Yeah.
Yes.
Nick, wow.
We all made it.
He can't hear us. He's just showing us that he's sitting drinking in a public establishment. He's listening to some music, and
is that an Applebee's?
No, I think it's a local bar. I believe. Oh, and he's gone. He's gone. He is going. He and his daughter are going to sit in with the band that are playing there tonight, which is kind of cool. So
nice.
Yeah, that's that. Brian, anything else you would like to share with us tonight?
I mean, we have the Heir to the Empire thing.
Yep.
I don't think that's going to be the movie. No. I mean, I'm all for Toe Jam Woohoo. If we could get that, we can make a T-shirt. You could make a T-shirt of that in like the like the Blue Harvest sign. That would be the next shirt.
Toe Jam Woohoo Hoo.
Yeah.
I'm doing it. All right.
All in for that one.
Okay. Did I get that right? It is Toe Jam Woohoo Hoo.
Toe Jam Woohoo Hoo in space.
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, with Heir to the Empire, I started reading it again, and I actually started listening to the audiobook for the first time. And I really just found that for the last almost 30 years, I was really mispronouncing, I guess, how everyone else pronounces the name of whoever the Dark Jedi is in there.
Jerus? Is it? I haven't listened to the audio version. I say Saboth. Is that how it is?
Saboth, I say.
Yeah, I think. Well, Mark Thompson, I think, pronounced it Sabayoth.
Okay.
I mean, when that book,
Marchion rose. So
yeah, I mean, when that book came out when I was 11, I always referred to the guy as Joris Kaboeth. So I was really wrong. And I really only recently found out that was really wrong. So
we got to get Timothy Zahn.
I'm obviously a horrible Star Wars fan.
Yeah, well, turn in your card. We'll send you a notice. You can just send the card in, and we'll take care of it. Because we're shills, and we know. So, all right, Brian. Well, thank you so much, man.
Thank you.
Good to see you as usual.
And we're looking forward to FanFest,
Fan
Expo.
What days are you going?
I'm just going on Saturday.
Okay. Yeah, that's probably the day I'll be going as well. So
yeah.
Are you gonna have a booth, Chris? No, you're not gonna have a booth.
Well, no. That's not right. You mean for me? Me?
Yeah, for you. For
you.
Yeah.
No,
you.
No, not yet.
Is there another you?
No, but yeah, I'm just trying to keep things in code right now. But no, not yet. Not yet. Won't be ready yet.
Philly Fan Expo. Cool, man. Well, I can't wait to see you there. And thanks for hanging out. Thanks for calling in. And
thank you for having me, as always.
All right. Talk to you soon. See ya. I'm going to switch this because I'm looking down because my monitor's not working. I don't know if you heard that part of the show.
Yeah.
So let's take a real quick break and then we'll come back and we'll close up the show. How does that sound? Does that work? That works for you? All right. We'll be right back in just a minute with more Force Connect.
All right, I'm doing this in one take. I hope you're all ready. All right. Do you like t-shirts with sayings and logos that are bordering on that very fine line of copyright infringement, but still very Star Wars in the way they do things? Do you like some of the weird stuff that Pete, Nick, and Chris say on their shows like Force Connect and Around the Galaxy? Of course you do. Then you need some of our t-shirts and mugs and stickers and sweatshirts, and I can't believe you guys are selling all this stuff. You can go to sswnetworkshop.com, or you can scan the QR code in the corner there and you can get this stuff. I don't know why you might want to, but hey, everybody likes a deal, eh? And since you like a deal, use code WATO20 and you'll get 20% off your order. That's right, use code WATO20. Head on over to sswnetworkshop.com today or scan the QR code. I'll make you a deal, huh?
Silly Watto. Did you catch my my new favorite pop section of the show? Did you see that?
I did, and I was kind of glad you couldn't hear me because I was like, "Look who can't tear himself away."
Well, it doesn't help when I get a text from you saying, "Hey, did you see this?" And I'm like, "Oh man, no, I haven't seen that." And you're like, "I got you." I'm like, "Damn it,
dude!
No,
I am everybody's pusher, and especially with what's about to come, I'm about to be everybody's pusher."
I'm just gonna have a direct deposit to you at some point. And I also got I don't have it here with me, but I got the Jabba the Hutt and Salacious Crumb 40th Jedi Return of the Jedi 40th.
Wait, you did?
Cool yeah,
you got it.
Yeah,
I mean the one that you asked me to bring for you.
Look, I'll take two. I will take two. Look,
Claire's getting it.
Oh, well, good. Claire. When I saw the Salacious Crumb, I thought of Claire, of course, as you do. Yeah.
When I came in, I texted you both. I'm like, "Hey, do you would you like this?
Got a deal for you." Hey, we do have another caller that just called in, and I know this guy, and so I'm curious to hear what he has to say. So let's bring him in.
Hello, what have we here?
This is Coach from the Echo Base Network.
Hey,
Coach,
guys, how are y'all doing?
Good. It's nice to see you on my screen and not just on my Twitter feed.
Pleasure to be here. Yes, I agree. We've talked so much. This is the first time we've talked like in a live setting.
The first time we've talked. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. So all the scuttlebutt and everything going on, and Pete, you and I have sent a couple messages to each other here lately. So my honest question, and this is coming just from a fan of Star Wars, is all this is. What's it going to take for all of us to be united in unison? What's it going to do to bring us all back together? Because it's bad. It really is bad, and it's bad on both ends, and I see things the way that I see things, and people on the other end see things the way that they see them, and it gets nasty out there. And it's just not good on both ends.
It's sure. I mean, I think the challenge is right. It's become so polarizing, right? And what happens is everybody starts to fall into a category, right? For better, or I was gonna say for better or worse, but it's mostly for worse, right? Nobody wants to be categorized, right? Nor should they. But what happens is, like, for example, so just so everybody knows, Coach has the Echo Base Network, and they are more on the don't like the sequel trilogy. I'm going to put it that way, right? That's a fair way to put it, right?
Absolutely.
And the things that go that stereotypically go with that, and I and Chris and Nick, who's not with us tonight, tend to fall on we enjoy the Disney era and everything that goes with that. So I think the challenge is, as soon as somebody sees somebody say something to the effect of I hate the sequel trilogy. Suddenly you are immediately a type of person. You see somebody who's like, hey, I love The Last Jedi. We're going to be talking about The Last Jedi next week. And I do think it's a fantastic story. Immediately we fall into that spot. So your question that I think is a really good one is how do we fix that? I don't have an answer. I think we all need to just kind of, here's what it is. And Chris, feel free to jump in, but sure. I think we need to just stop giving each other shit for having a differing opinion, right? And look, I mean, and if you look at the tweets, you and I have gone back and forth.
Oh yeah,
and when we do, when we have, it's been because of your opinion or my opinion,
right?
And we need to just and I have tried so many times to be like, I'm turning over a new leaf. I'm just going to scroll past that stuff, and I've been better at it, but not perfect, because it just hits you and you're like, oh, I know what's going on there, and it's just driving me crazy. But I think we need to get to a point where we can have a conversation and say, hey, so why don't you like The Last Jedi? And be like, oh, okay, that's cool. Here's why I like it. And the example I use all the time, Coach, you probably haven't heard me say this, is I talk about the Matrix movies. I loved the first Matrix movie. I loved it. It's one of my all-time favorite movies. Matrix 2 and 3, to me, are unwatchable. And that's just my opinion. But I've never, ever told somebody on Twitter who said, I love Matrix, 2 or 3. I've never stopped and said, well, that's stupid. How can you like that? That's trash.
Right.
And that happens a lot from people who don't like the Disney era. And maybe because I'm not in your shoes, I feel like it more comes from people who don't like the Disney era.
Sure.
So I rambled a bit there, but I don't know. Do you have something to add to that?
You asking me?
Yeah, sure. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. I agree with everything that you said, and I think that it's kind of like our default now, for whatever reason, especially with social media, when someone throws an opinion out there that doesn't line up with yours, for whatever reason, people tend to get insulted by that or take that personally. And when people post things on social media, a lot of times, and I'm guilty of this, I will miss the subtext, or I will miss, there's just a nuance in speaking face to face, and we say on our channel all the time, we've definitely made some people mad. I'm not trying to say we're angels and we've never done anything wrong, but we have always tried to be a Star Wars fan that says, you know what, I'm glad that you like what you like, and that I don't like it, but if you enjoyed it, that's awesome for you. It doesn't mean that just because you like The Last Jedi or Indiana, the Kingdom of the Crystal Skull, which I didn't think was a very good movie, but just because somebody likes that movie doesn't mean that they're a fake fan or that they're toxic or that they're anything else. It's cool that they like the movie, But
do you? Yeah, go ahead. No,
I was just saying it's a shame that today on both sides of it, somebody has an opinion about something that they like or don't like, and people take that as a slight to them. They take it personally, and I'm guilty of it as well. I'm guilty of it as well, and I just wish, we're talking about Star Wars.
Right.
Something that I have loved, and that's one of the things that we do on our channel, Pete, is like when we bring on visitors and guests, we always want to start with, what's your Star Wars story? Take me to the beginning. It was 1983. There was a brand new video store in my hometown, and my parents I had no idea what a video store was, and I saw the cover box of the original Star Wars, the CBS red labeled Star Wars.
Yep.
And I looked at it, it just spoke to me, man. And I said, Mom, that's the one I want right there. And she said, are you sure? I said, yes. I couldn't even read, Pete. I didn't even know what the back of it said. And I went home and I watched it, and that was it.
Yep.
And here I am 40 something years later, and it still got me, and I like to start there and have people talk about the love that they have for it and the passion that they have for it. And then later we'll get into, okay, well, what about now? And how you feeling now? But again, just because there's things that we don't agree with or agree on, or a personal opinion about something, whether it be Disney or whatever, it doesn't make us. It shouldn't make us enemies. You know what I mean?
Yeah, but I agree with what you're saying in principle, 100%. I do think though that there is a lot. I mean, there's this. We see there's certain people who are like, if it's not Lucas Star Wars, it's not Star Wars, and that's prominent out there. That's a very loud voice, and
I hear it all the time.
Yeah, and that's a frustrating, as a fan, it's frustrating to hear, and it's not right. It's not. I mean, and again, the example I've used 1,000 times. I apologize to people who've heard me say it over and over. It's like, I'm a big Metallica fan, but I have hated the last couple albums. I've not been, but I still have those Metallica albums, the ones that I love. And I will never tell anybody who likes the new stuff that they're wrong. I'm happy to have them as a fan. I'll give them a high five at a concert. I will have fun with them. But what needs to stop is the people making drama and making clicks for it, right? Where people are putting up all kinds of really bad faith thumbnails, bad faith arguments, just to get the clicks to bring people to their sites to watch the videos. And until YouTube stops making the algorithm work for that, it's not going to stop. You're always going to have the geeks and gamers who just make their money from just one angry video after another. And it just, I don't think that helps. And then what that does is it incites an army of people like this guy Sheev, for example, who's on Twitter. He probably follows you as well, who will look for people who say the word "The Last Jedi" and just go after him for no reason, other than, I can't even tell you what his reason is. He's angry about it because he's been fueled by the clickbait sites. So
right,
and I think that's a big part of the problem. As long as the challenge is, like, I don't know if you saw the little video when the Knights of Melvin called. They said, this guy's not even monetized, and he gets great interviews. Well, it's because I don't make noise in the wrong way. I'm here to have conversations, and we welcome different sides, and we want to hear it. And the more that money is easily handed over to people who can make money from negativity is not going anywhere.
I see where you're coming from. I get what you're saying. I will tell. I can't speak on behalf of any other channel but my own.
Sure, of course. Yep.
I can tell you that Echo Base Network is ran by myself and my best friend Nick. Funny enough, we became friends when we were 12 years old because of Star Wars. I didn't even like him when we were in the 7th grade. And I was literally walking.
He was a fake fan in 7th grade.
I'm walking to go throw some trash away at the back of the room, and I passed his desk, and I just happened to notice he had one of those youth novels. I think it was the Glove of Darth Vader or something like that. And I looked at him with that on his desk, and I said, "You like Star Wars?"
Yeah.
And he said, "Dude, I love Star Wars." We've been best friends like the week after we became best friends, and we've been best friends ever since. That was 30-something years ago. So that's who I run the channel with. I will tell you that, a lot of our opinions will fall into some of the ones that you don't like. Like you mentioned, Geeks and Gamers, and I don't agree with everything Geeks and Gamers puts out there and everything.
Yeah.
I get what you're saying. We have always prided ourselves on being authentic. Like, I might make a juicy thumbnail, and I get what you're saying. I totally get what you're saying. I might make a juicy thumbnail, but when you click on the video and you listen to what I'm telling you, I promise you that's what I really think. While I'm also open to hearing other opinions as well. Just because it's my opinion doesn't make me right. And I have definitely shifted in opinions as I talk to people that are much brighter and smarter than myself, because they'll say things that I never even thought of.
Right.
But I also understand exactly what you're saying about. There are definitely people who have a certain opinion to make money, And you don't know if that's what they even think for real or not.
Yep.
You know, if you and I sat down and had a cup of coffee and sat there and chit chatted for 4 hours, and then you go watch our content on our channel, you'd be like, yeah, that's the guy I talked to.
Right.
You know, that's him, you know. So that's all we can do. I don't like phonies either.
Sure. Yep.
So I'm with you on that. Sure.
So I love that you led with how do we fix it? And I think we need to look at that. Look, here's the thing. A couple years ago, it's even difficult to have the conversation, right? And this is where it gets ugly. And I'll be totally transparent here. You may have been following at the time, but I was going to have I had a conversation with Drunk 3PO years ago, like 4 years ago, 3-4 years ago. And again, he's definitely in the different camp than I am, for sure. And before I released the interview, there were calls from people saying that I should not give somebody with his, and yes, he has very strong and at times offensive opinions, I think, to people who are because the politics that goes along with sometimes with the different sides. And I got a hard time for even considering posting it. So I think I would love, and maybe you and I can continue the conversation offline about is there a way to look, you and I will never agree on the sequel trilogy, right? It doesn't matter. If you watch next week's show and we talk about The Last Jedi, you're a person who's not going to walk away and go, you know what? They're right. It's my new favorite movie. I don't think that's going to happen.
Sure.
But we do need to find a way to, and I think here's where the responsibility comes. And I'll throw the challenge back to you and to others, and I'll take it on myself as well. I feel like we're pretty close there. But we need to call out people who follow us who are assholes. Right. I think that's kind of what it is, because what ends up happening is somebody watches your channel and says, screw the sequel trilogy. Somebody watches my channel and says, yeah, everybody who doesn't like the sequel trilogy, they're racist. I don't know, whatever it is. And the problem is there is a Venn diagram where both sides cross and it's not good. But we need to, like, for example, and I feel bad in when you see situations where when it becomes a conversation that's not related to the films. I don't feel bad. I feel that it's frustrating is what I mean by that is because it's, and a lot of times, and you would likely admit, a lot of times the conversations that happen around Star Wars, I'm not saying necessarily on your channel, I've seen a couple of your things, not all of it, but sometimes it's something that's not related to Star Wars. It's somebody who is bringing something else to the table, and that's not right. But I do think we have a responsibility of, we don't have 1 million subscribers. We're growing the channel. I'm working on the Twitter base, but when I see people who make a bad take, even if it's on something I agree with, I got to call them out. I have a responsibility to say, hey, listen, you're right. Last Jedi is a great movie, in my opinion, and yours, but you can't be saying what you just said. You can't be aggressively going after people. And I think it would be great to see the other side of the coin do the same thing. So I don't know. We're not going to fix it tonight, Coach. Yeah, but
you're right. But I think that's a very fair thing to say. I'm in agreement. And yeah, man, if you come to one of our live streams and look at some of the things that are said in chat, now some of the people I know, our audience, and I, for the most part, and you might interpret what they say a little differently than myself, because I know them and I'm like, oh, he's kidding around, whatever. But if you don't know that person, you don't know they're kidding around. But unfortunately, everybody's not kidding around, and sometimes they mean what they say. And I'm with you. We've always tried to have the lighthearted approach to Echo Base. Now I'll say this: I'm a lot more lighthearted and easygoing and open than my partner Nick. And I guarantee you, Pete, some of the back and forth that you and I have had,
Yeah.
a little bit of that was Nick.
You know, I can.
If you don't know who you're talking with.
Yeah.
Usually it's me.
Yep.
But sometimes it's Nick, and I'm like, Nick, why did you do that? Like, come on. So it's a mess sometimes.
Yeah. So I appreciate you calling in. I appreciate you bringing up this, especially for those who may or may not know our history together. It's been let's call it a rocky road, Coach. Let's call it that.
Yeah.
But I would love to continue we're not going to fix it, but I think maybe if we kind of hold each other accountable, I think maybe that's a step forward. And I want to just, this is really ironic. I started what I believe was either the first or among the first Star Wars websites back in the mid 90s, like literally hand coding a website.
Oh,
and,
yeah.
And it's what ended up
HTML.
getting, I think it was in GeoCities or something like that. And it's what got me working with Star Wars Galaxy magazine. Long story short, it was called Echo Base. So,
that's why you're bad at us.
That's right. Those guys took my name, damn it. I don't agree with their opinions, but more importantly,
it
took my name.
I'm with you, man. Well, look, I would love to continue the conversation. I agree with you, and I think that the audience are into the audience. You're into the audience. It would be good for everybody to see that, you know what, we can talk and we can find things that we do agree on, and we can agree to disagree on some other things and not take it personally.
We need to, I think it's important that we have a zero tolerance for assholery and the things that go along with it, right? I think we need to keep politics and all of that stuff out of the conversation. It's definitely fine Chris and I disagree on, Chris is a huge comic book fan. I don't read the comics, and that's, that's a difference. And I
like comics too, Chris.
Thank you, Coach. Yeah, see,
I have some
comics to bring us all together, Pete. If you just
maybe that's the answer, Chris. Comics are the answer. That's what it is.
Well, Pete, look,
tell you guys.
Your channel is gonna be just fine. It's gonna grow because you guys have a passion for Star Wars. So you're going to get like-minded people. That audience is going to continue to grow, and you keep rolling. So, and I'll be happy to see that.
Excellent. Well, thank you for calling in. Thanks for
thanks for popping me on. I wasn't sure if you would.
Hey man, I had my finger on the button if it got bad, but no, but man, I appreciate it. And let's continue the conversation.
You got it, man.
And we fix it. Let's try, right? That's the best we can do. So
guys, I enjoyed it. Pete, Chris, nice talking to y'all. Y'all
thank you very
fun.
much, man.
All right.
Talk to you soon.
Bye-bye.
Well, that was
Pete. I stayed out of that one for a reason.
Yes, you did. I was like,
and I was like, I'll be over it. Nope. That's Pete and Coach. Because you guys have a history. I'm like, I'm not jumping in that.
Boy, do we have a history. Look, I appreciate him calling in.
Yeah,
I appreciate him asking how we can fix things. I think we need to fix things, and I think, and honestly, I do believe it comes with, or it begins with, calling out the jerks. Calling out the people who are
on all sides.
On all sides, 100%. And it's also, it's, if you don't like the sequels because you're using words like woke and token and words like that, which you see thrown around, then that's not why you don't like the sequel trilogy, right? Or that's not why you don't like Disney. And but I appreciate the concept and the idea, and let's see if we can make that happen.
I'll say this: I don't think that there's one piece of medium that is going to bring us all together. Like I was like, oh, Mandalorian's going to bring us all together.
Right.
No, it didn't. But
it did for a couple weeks. It felt like.
Yeah. But it's going to come down to not like society, but society has been pulling in two directions for so long, and like it really jumped up in the past 3 years, like exponentially jumped up in the past 3 years.
Yep.
And there's always these two bickering sides of anything, like, you know, first, you know, it's Star Trek, Star Wars, it's PlayStation, Xbox,
yep,
you know, Nintendo, Sega, yada yada yada, all these different things, and then there's these subsections within, and it's just, you know, I think a lot of it started with politics, politics and such, and people start to equate their opinions on certain things they like, and it almost seems like, oh, that's because they're Republican, that's because they're a liberal or a Democrat, yada yada yada, something like that. And it just helps to widen that gap any, you know, even further. Like, I just think it comes down to, and it comes down to the people who, and the people who hate Rose are going to hate this, but I think for all people, yeah, you know, talk about the stuff that maybe, you know, you dislike or it's not working for you. But I love talking about what I love about Star Wars, and thankfully for me, and that's just not a shill thing. It's just the person I am. I love all of it. I can't help it. So I, you know, as a Transformers fan, I don't talk about the Michael Bay movies because they're dog shit. You know, I keep it G1. You know, Beast Wars, cool. The rest of it, can't do it, and especially those Bay movies. Oh my God, they're hamster vomit. But, you know, like anything else, if we can all just talk about the stuff that we love, and it almost sounds restricting, but that's just the kind of Star Wars conversations I want to have.
The only thing I would disagree with you on that is, you know, as a fan, for as long as both of us have been, one of the great things about being a fan of anything is the ability to sit, and this is what's been lost, and this is what's been lost because of channels that are going for division, that are making their money from division, is, I mean, honestly, when I see you in Philly in a couple weeks and we talk about comics, I mean, look, my blatant ugly position on comic books, for example, is I feel like, to me, it feels like things happen out of character, and that's just sort of a broad statement, right? But we could have a conversation about it versus I go and tweet that I hate the Star Wars comic books because things happen out of character, and instead of saying, wow, okay, cool, so give me an example, and I could be like, well, I didn't really like the Knights of Ren comic because I felt like blah blah blah. Okay, cool, I liked it because, and it's not because you're trying to make me like it. You're not like, you will like this, and it's also not me going, well, geez, you know what, another Black Jedi, that's what we need. No, it's like, that's not where I'm coming from. It's like, but that is lost now. So when I go online and I post things like I do about The Last Jedi, about Luke Skywalker doing what he did as being the most Jedi thing. 20 years ago, you and I would have been sitting over a beer and going, really? You think that? I don't think so. To me, it felt like a cowardly way to handle it. And we could talk about it as fans. But now it's, no, that's not my Luke Skywalker. He would never do that. And if you like that, you're not a fan. You're not a fan of my Luke Skywalker. And it's,
I would say maybe 30 years ago.
Yeah. Yep. You're probably
before the special editions, I'd say, because that to me is when that was for me when my bubble was burst at that point, where I was like, I just thought, like, the Star Trek fans back then for me are the ones that had the bad rap. You know, and Star Wars fans are like, oh, we're the civil ones. And we're the cultured few. And we just love it and yada, yada, yada. And then the special editions came along and I was like, oh, no. Oh, this, because my bubble was me, a couple of my best friends, and my older brother. That was it.
Yep.
And you know, we were all like-minded and whatnot. And to hear such vitriol from fans was mind-blowing to me, and it kind of infuriated me a little bit. But but I'd say it would have to be like early 90s before that's when things were a little bit better, I think.
Yeah. But I you know, and look, I'm going to say this, and I hope it's not taken the wrong way. Coach came on from Echo Base Network and was very polite. They do have a very conservative approach, if you will, to Star Wars, right? And that's where we need to call people out, right? It's things like the Rose Tico stuff, like you were saying. You can not like The Last Jedi. That's totally cool, and I understand why people don't like it. I can get behind it, and I can understand it. But if you're not liking it because of Rey being a Mary Sue, or you're not liking it because you don't like Rose Tico because the quote I've heard is she doesn't look like somebody who would be in a Star Wars movie. And even Rian Johnson said she didn't feel like a character who would be in a Star Wars movie, and that's why he put her in. But to make it about who she is versus the story is unacceptable. And that's where we need to call that out.
But I tell you this, and I mean this, she at that point she didn't look like a character who would be in a Star Wars movie.
Yeah, you're right. Yeah,
because we never had, except for that one pilot who got blown up in Return of the Jedi for a quick second. There were never any Asian, Asian actors really prominently shown in Star Wars. So yeah, shit changes, and gotta get, like when the prequels came out, and I love the prequels. I love the prequels, but like to me, the ships and whatnot, I was like, this isn't right. This doesn't seem Star Wars. And then give it a couple of years, I'm like, no, this is Star Wars as fuck. Like it is very much Star Wars.
Yep.
So people just need to give things a chance and let shit marinate. I'm sorry to be cussing on here so much.
That's
but
right.
Just let it marinate, and it's very much becomes natural. Like when I got I damn near got teary-eyed when I saw some promo photos from Rise of Skywalker. I know you love that flick. From Rise of Skywalker, where it's oh my god, Jana.
Yeah.
Jana?
Yep.
And Finn talking. I'm like, oh, and it's so minute to other people, but it's huge to me. Is that these are two black people on screen at once in a Star Wars film, and they are center stage and they are talking. I'm like, this is because I've never seen that before.
Yep.
I've always had to do that with my action figures. Had my 2 Lando figures because that's all I had when I was a kid.
Right.
And I had to make one a different character, and one Lando, blah 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 blah. And that was the only way. So seeing that, it's phenomenal. So yeah, to those fans who didn't like seeing a black stormtrooper, didn't like an Asian co-lead or anything like that.
Yep.
Get over it.
Right.
There are other people here, and yeah, it may not seem like Star Wars because you only know but so much of the galaxy, and yeah, because casting was not kind to anyone else outside of white people back then. That's just how it was, and that's unfortunate. But that's the world, that's the country we live in. But yeah, it's getting a hell of a lot better now. They still fucked up with Finn, but I mean it's getting a whole lot better. And
Yep. No, it's
other people, other non-whites or people of color. We're here. And we're part of this. We're part of space too. Sorry, we're in space.
Weird space friends, but it's this and to answer Coach's question, how do we fix it? We call out people. If your true argument is I don't like the sequel stories because it doesn't feel like George Lucas's Star Wars, that's a fine opinion to have.
Mm-hmm.
But as soon as it becomes, and Disney's pushing a woke agenda, we're done. And I need, if you truly want the fandom to come together, you need to put your foot down and say, this is not what the conversation is. Hey, you can hate everything from 2012 forward. Totally fine. Not a problem. Yeah. I don't know why, but that's fine. If that's your thing. Again, I always use that Metallica thing. I don't love the Metallica albums. I just don't. But I love those first ones, and I'm still a fan, and I'll go see them in concert, and I will high five other fans who just got into it with the new album. That's totally fine. Yeah. We're fans. And it's not, don't gatekeep. And whether you like it or not, this is the new canon. Not the new canon, it's the canon, right? This is where the story is going. And sorry, Rey was the lead, and she was a phenomenal lead, one of the best actors in Star Wars, I would say. Her and Adam Driver were among the top actors performance-wise in all 9 movies, I would say. That's maybe we'll have that conversation next week when we talk Last Jedi. But
I agree.
But it is what it is. I mean, this is where the story is. And again, if this is not the story you like, then that's cool. It's Matrix 2 and 3. I just don't watch those movies. I'll watch The Matrix. If I walk out of this room and it's on the TV, I'm done for 2 hours. I'm watching it.
Right.
Matrix 2, I'm walking right by it. So, you know, I don't know. Well, Chris, this show took a very interesting turn, which is good.
Yeah.
I want to thank everybody who called in tonight. We had a good time. Glad you joined. I'm glad it wasn't just me, Coach. I don't know what, even though you didn't say anything, at least I felt stronger.
Oh no, I was like, those guys have history. I'm not gonna jump in. I'm gonna let them try to hash this shit out as best they can. I'll be over here.
Eric Elliott's asking if I like Matrix 4.
God, man.
Okay, funny. I did not mind Matrix 4 for about the first 2/3 of it, and then I was like, "Oh, they missed the opportunity." So, yeah. So anyway,
no canopies, Brian. No canopies on those mechs.
Goofy, stupid movies. So Chris, what's happening at Bro Axiom this week?
I believe there's an episode of Shooting the Poodoo on Sunday. I think so. Nick and I, I'm sorry, not Nick. Mick and I, my partner with the Nice Guys podcast, we're getting together. We're going to be doing an episode on Return of the Jedi. You know, it's the month for 40th anniversary and everything. We got to do it. Let's see. I believe there's a new episode of Star Bros this week. We've got a couple new comics coming out. High Republic and Darth Vader, Black, White, and Red, which is an amazing comic book. That Black, White, and Red are the only colors they use, and it's an anthology book. So there's like 3 to 4 different stories in it. The first issue was amazing. There was one by a writer artist named Peach Momoko, and this story had no dialogue. It was like the Ewoks comic that came out a few weeks ago. Had no dialogue, but the story was so intense and so cool. It was like it was pretty much, I called it Darth Vader living in someone's head rent free. Awesome. And just torment, like without even being there, just tormented this character. It was incredible. So yeah, another issue of that coming out, and I'm really looking forward to that. Yeah, I think. Oh, and of course Tuesday nights, BX Gaming, with Dan and Roke. I don't know. Still doing Survivor, right? They're switching off because they do Survivor, they do God of War, I think Aliens. There's an Aliens game, and Dead Space. So cool. Yeah, it's those games, and maybe something else. I'm probably missing something, but yeah. So they're doing those games. What was the show that just ended that Pedro Pascal was on?
Oh, Last of Us.
Yeah, and they're doing that one as well. Yeah,
cool. That's cool.
I need to finish that season.
It's good. Do it. So from an Around the Galaxy perspective, Monday night we are recording, so patrons can join us Monday. We're talking to Joe Barksdale Monday night at 8:00, so patrons can join us, and that should drop in the feed on Thursday this week. And then on Sunday, patrons can join me, Nick, and Chris is going to be part of the conversation with the amazing Deborah Wilson, Sir Junda. Again, no spoilers yet, but there will be spoilers when we talk to her. And I gotta learn all about it. I gotta hear it. I gotta hear it from her. So I'm looking forward to that. But Chris, thank you so much for joining halfway through the show. I'm glad you made it. It would have been a less interesting show without you for sure. And we will see you next week. We are going to be talking Last Jedi next Friday, unless some other shit hits the fan this week. Who knows? But that's the plan. We're going to talk Last Jedi. So we'll make shit hit the fan, whether it's from us or from something else that happens. Right. But Chris, may the Force be with you.
Always.
Just one more round, friend, then homeward bound, friend. Don't forget me in your dreams. Just one more song, friend, and then so long, friend. The nights get shorter, it seems. Just one more rhyme, friend. Yes, it's a crime, friend. But you know time, friend. Time can fly. So So it's good night, friend. Good night, but not goodbye.